everybody, Coach Allison back, and I have your final week of the year for Defy Aging. So we are in week 52, if you can believe it. So this week we are going to go back to a standard circuit, rotating around all together. 8 exercises, right? And we have 3 rounds of that. Each round is going to be timed a little bit different. So round 1 is 45 on, 40 off. Round 2 is 35 on, 30 off. And round 3 is 25 on, 20 off. Yes, I said that correctly. Okay, again, 8 exercises. Let's review what those are. Station 1 is a variation of a walking lunge. It's going to be an overhead, a single arm overhead walking lunge. So you'll switch arms halfway through on this. So with our 45, 35, and 25-second sets, halfway is going to be a little not exactly perfect, right? But, close enough. So we have a weight in just one arm. We're going to keep the palm turned inwards. The palm fingernails are going to be facing in towards your body. So that's a neutral grip. First thing that we really want to focus on is already kind of tricky. We want to keep the arm as straight up and down as possible, meaning we want to avoid the elbow kind of staying sort of bent like this and kind of loosey-goosey. So we already want to engage the shoulder, of course, but the bicep and the muscles surrounding the elbow to keep like a really strong locked-in arm. That's already challenging. So I'll forewarn you to pick a weight that's kind of on the lighter side. So if you can do our standard press with maybe a 12 or 15, there's a lot different kind of stability involved with this exercise because the arm is going to be locked up in place and you're going to be moving. So I'd recommend to go significantly lighter than what you can do a normal press with. So if you can normally press with a 10 or 15, I'd recommend maybe going to, or a 12 or 15 or something, I'd recommend going down to a 10 or 8 or even a 5. So keep that in mind. That's going to be your warning on that. So palm is turned in. From there, we go into our standard walking lunge. And you can go as low as you're comfortable going with your depth of the lunge, but we do lunges quite often. But adding this overhead component, I'll go to the side for a couple. Adding this overhead component completely changes the feel of a lunge. I mean, we're taking this to a whole different level. This is a very advanced exercise. Big step, keep your back up tall, keep that arm right by the side of the head, so right by the ear. Continue your alternating steps right and left. I have this thing here, so it's kind of annoying. So a lot of stability here. This arm is going to be wanting to waver all around. So again, try to avoid the arm coming down like this. Yeah, you'll really only get a few on each side. So halfway will come up pretty quickly. Lunges are slow and steady, so you don't have to hold that for too long on each side. Did that on purpose. It's also okay to take this down and maybe for round 1, practice the lunge with no weight and just the arm up with the lunges, just to practice how to keep that arm straight up and down while doing your lunges. Because what we don't want to do is let the arm come out here. Because if I was to add weight to this, what would happen to my arm? Wow. That weight would want to pull that arm down. So it's very important the arm is staying straight up and down. So I know this was a longer demonstration for this, but this is a new move. I don't think we've ever done this in Defy. It's pretty advanced. So there are some modifications. Again, you can do it without the weight and you're already, even just having the arm up with no weight, you're engaging that delt muscle quite a bit. You can also take this, you can take out the forward movement with the lunges, and you can take this to, if needed, to a stationary reverse lunge. So we can go into a reverse lunge. Same, everything, still lift that up, the overhead component. This way, if you're feeling a little unsteady, we can be near something like a wall or a rack. For me, I'll use this bench because it's here. You can be near something maybe to put your other hand on for a little bit of stability. So you're still getting that lunge, that overhead component. We're taking out that forward movement. So that's an option as well. So a couple options there, a couple regressions for the engagement of the shoulder, lowering the weight, taking out the weight. Let's give this one a try this week. All right, after that long, complicated demo, go into something that we all know and love, right? Medicine ball slams. So we want a big range of motion here. Bring that ball up overhead, slam it down, hard enough to get that bounce back up, and that is station 2. Station 3 is a banded power press. It's a chest exercise. It's going to replicate exactly the same as a chest press with dumbbells on the floor, just done differently because we do that one quite often. So I wanted to vary it up a little bit. So you're going to have a band hooked to the racks. We want kind of a firmer band here. And ideally, if the setup is appropriate at each club, every rack, all of the racks at the different clubs are slightly different. Luckily, this one is set up just a little higher than my height, because if the band is hooked up lower than your shoulders, it kind of digs in, and we don't want that. So ideally, they're set up a little higher than your height. Okay, just like you would grab dumbbells on the floor, right? When we're lying on the floor. Okay, grab the handles, of course. Way to stagger your stance here, because we do want one leg back for stability. If you have both legs at the same position like this, we tend to want to lean forward. It's just not very stable. So one leg back, one leg forward. Favor your front leg, however. Now I said power press, right? What we're going to do here is explode forward and then control it back to the start. So exhale on the forward movement with some power, and then kind of control it back slow, maybe 2 to 3 seconds. Power forward, control it back. Notice how my hands kind of drew slightly inward together on the press. Takes a lot of control because they're going to want to be kind of wobbly. And control. The control back is actually almost harder than the forward press, because on the way back is when they want to shift all around. Takes a lot of core engagement to really just stay strong and sturdy. So engage the abs, hips, and legs to stay nice and grounded. And yeah, that's our chest exercise with the power, the banded power press. The next station is the seal lift. So it's a posterior chain exercise. It's the same as the Superman, but arms are back instead of out in front. And that's going to help get more of these muscles kind of back here and all down through the middle of the back. So we're on the stomach. Like I said, arms are now back. You know, people ask me, should I put palms facing down or palms facing up? I think palms facing up, but I think also it's really a preference thing. So whatever's more comfortable on your shoulders. But again, if I'm trying it, I'm going to say palms up maybe. But if there's any discomfort with the rotation position of your shoulder with the palms up, try it with the palms down and see if that feels better. Okay. So you want to keep your nose kind of nose and chin aimed at the floor, so don't be looking up like this, okay? And we do the Superman, which is generally the lift, but our arms are back. As you lift up, I want you to retract your shoulders. See what I just did there with my shoulders? Retract, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and I want you to feel like someone is behind you, pulling your arms even farther down that way and pulling them in towards your spine. So we're squeezing those arms back and together. So you're really getting a good squeeze in everything in your upper and middle back. You're engaging the lower back simply by doing the lift of the torso and the legs. See how I'm also lifting my legs? We're not bending the knees though. So that's the seal lift. I just made that name up years ago because it's kind of like how a seal has to try to move. Anyway, I think it's funny. No, for anyone not getting on the floor, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can do this on a stability ball, ideally the bigger, slightly bigger ones. I have a kind of smaller size, but in most of the gyms have one the next size up. So you would kind of come down on it on you're fully supported. So it's not like doing a plank on it. Your whole torso is supported. A little bit of balance here though, so that's a good challenge. Arms back. Now you're not going to lift the legs, of course, because you need those to keep you balanced. But you will lift the torso and the arms. Everything that I said with the torso and the arms squeezing back and together, that's all the same. So that's one option. It's just a little tricky. You still kind of have to come to the knees and get up. So if that ability to stand up like that is not an option for you, you can also, someone took and is using my incline bench, so I can't demonstrate, but you can, and that's not the same, that's a decline bench. So you can use an incline bench and just kind of straddle the bench Your chest is lying on the incline bench and you're essentially standing, but you're kind of leaning on a bench on your chest. So you have the support of the bench. All the coaches will know what I'm explaining, and you can do all that with an incline bench support. So we have an option for everybody to do this movement, still targeting that whole kind of, at least the whole entire back, getting that posterior chain focus. This is another new one I don't think we've had in Defy. I mean, we've been doing this for 7 years now, so maybe some are slipping my mind, but it's a battle rope with squats. So a couple challenges here. The coordination is the first challenge. The second challenge is just the physical component of it, just doing it. But third challenge is it does create the sensation of tipping kind of backwards, not like tipping all the way to the floor, but you'll feel right away this, your body has this want to like do that and kind of tip backwards. So I just want you to be, weary of that and be ready. Because of that, already be squatting with a pretty good forward focus, like be compensating by having a good forward lean in this. So you need some slack in the rope, like always. Don't be pulling it super taut. That's another thing. We're not relying 100% on these ropes. If I let go right here, I would fall. Okay, start your normal alternating up and down battle ropes that we've done a million times. And we go into squats. The lower you get, the more the ropes are going to get wonky because they're getting closer to the ground, so it's harder to keep them coordinated. So just be ready for that too. The lower you get, the more the ropes might get a little out of sorts. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about how fast you're doing your squats or how many. But again, when you get low, right here is where people tend to kind of want to tip backwards. And then you have the ropes to hold you up. Don't worry. This will be new for, I think, everyone that's currently in our Defy. Give it a try. Didn't mean to rhyme that. I think everyone's going to enjoy it. It's kind of fun. But let's give our battle rope squats a try. Next up is kneeling squats. Exactly what it's... Okay, well, I messed that up. Kneeling bicep curls. If someone can figure out what a kneeling squat is, please let me know. Kneeling bicep curl, exactly what it sounds like. We're doing a tall kneeling position, so on the knees, sitting up tall like this. And we're going to do palms forward bicep curls. Slow and steady. There we go. Okay. So from the side, we want a full extension with the arms, or at least almost all the way down. You can keep a baby soft bend in the elbows like that if you'd like, but we want to avoid keeping like an excessive bend in the elbow and only coming down, like 3/4 of the way. So do let your arms come either all the way down or darn near close. But we're going to keep that forward palm position the whole time. Avoid, I don't know why I turned the other way this time. Avoid swinging and avoid swaying. Okay, so none of that. If the knees, of course use a mat, I didn't just because of a quick demo here, but if the knees, anyone staying off the floor, we're going to turn into a standing bicep curl. Easy peasy to make that switch, no problem at all. All right, that's our bicep curl. Next station, lateral step up. Okay, so we're starting both feet on the floor. We're going to be stepping up to the side, up and down, full step up, full step down each time. So that means both feet come down, both feet go up. You have to, only thing to be careful of here is make sure you step up and down wide enough, see here, to leave enough room for the other foot. So if I stepped up too narrow, I'm not leaving space here for my other foot. Same thing coming down. If I step down too narrow, I'm kind of not leaving enough room for my other foot here. So got to step up wide enough and down wide enough to compensate and leave room for your second foot. You can hold weights here if you would like to make this a little more advanced. Feel free to grab some dumbbells in your hands to add a challenge, right? Every time we add a load, that's challenging our muscles more. So if we're at that level, if you've been with us for long enough and you're at that level, great. If not, great. Halfway through the time, just like the station with the lunges, we're going to change sides. So halfway through the time, all you have to do is turn around. Don't overcomplicate it. You don't have to run around to the other side or anything. if you just turn around, that switches the leg. So halfway through, spin around. You can also have advised the coaches to put this station near a wall or a rack for anyone who would like to kind of keep their hand like on a wall right here for a little bit of balance assistance. Totally fine. Yeah, that's always an option too. So lateral step ups. Last station, plank hip twist. We haven't done this one for a while. All right, it's exactly what it sounds like. Watch. You're in an elbow plank, so a low plank. First, we want to find that proper plank position, so hips are level, meaning they're not up here. Your shoulders should be stacked right over your elbows, so not like behind your elbows. Okay. Then we do a little twist, dipping the hips, alternating sides towards the floor. Now, the only thing that happens with this that I can't figure out how to avoid, to be honest, it just happens, is the feet sort of crawl back. They kind of just start to inch back. So every 3 or 4 twists, you have to kind of just like inch your feet back in. It just kind of happens. So it's kind of annoying. I haven't figured out. You can sort of kind of focus on it and try to keep your toes tucked under to try to avoid it, but it still just eventually happens. So I haven't figured out a way to not have that happen. So I'm kind of watch my toes, and you'll see what I mean. They're starting to kind of crawl back a little, so now I'm kind of having to shift them back in. So that's what I meant by that. So you can definitely take this to a knee option. That's totally fine. But again, with a knee plank, remember hips are, getting out of speed. Hips are level, so this will make the twist a little smaller. That's totally fine. What I mean by level hips is see how I kind of sunk my hips down and I'm not like way up in the air like this. So you got to be hips very close to the floor if you're doing a knee plank properly. And of course we have an incline option, right? For anyone staying off the floor. Come up to a bench or a box or whatever your club has. Elbows on your incline. Again, though, hips level. So we want that nice diagonal from the back of the neck to the heels. So now that I'm not level from the back of the neck to the heels, right? And then you do your little twist here and see how my toes are kind of crawling away from me. So again, every few twists, I have to sort of inch those feet in. Can't really avoid it. What that twist does is it just kind of takes the focus of the plank from these abs and kind of shifts it to the obliques. So you'll feel, hopefully, those side muscles kind of engaging. So that is our plank hip twist. Team builder time. Okay. Red light, green light. This is fun. I haven't done this for a while either. All right, for 60 seconds, your coach is going to be calling out red light, green light. Everybody's going to line up on the turf at the start line at the farthest end. We're going to be doing a tandem walk. Tandem walk is the heel-toe walk, okay? When you hear red light, you're going to try to freeze wherever you're at. Now, be honest, if you are in like that's why I did this. If you're in the middle of a step and your foot's up, try to freeze right there. And that means you have to balance until your coach says green light. Then you can continue your steps. What tends to happen is we finish the step when we hear that red light. So again, if I was right here and I heard red light, I would put my foot down and continue my step. That's kind of cheating. So, but if you happen to be both feet on the floor when you hear red light, that's fine because you're still balancing in a perfectly straight, the tandem position. So no matter where you stop, it should be challenging because you're either stopped with your feet in line or you're stopped with your one foot in the air, or maybe you're stopped with up on one toe because you were about to take your next step. It's hard no matter what, and your coach gets to decide if you hold it for 2 seconds or maybe 10 seconds because they're going to call out the green light to continue the movement. So so I have them doing that for 60 seconds. Maybe they'll have you do it the full length down and back. The coach can kind of decide depending on how much time you have left in your session. So that's our red light, green light team builder. All right, team. So that is our week 52. So that's the end of the year. That's the last Defy for the year. Next week, we'll not only start a new year, of course, and back to week one, which sounds weird, but it'll also be a new warm up and a new cool down. So expect that. And that will also be then just a little shorter workout because I know learning all of those new moves for the warm up and cool down just takes a little extra time. So new warm up, new cool down, and week one of 2024 coming up next week.